Well, and welcome to another episode of The Mark Medley Show. This is your host, Mark Medley. And this episode is titled, I Could Only Hope, or I Would Only Hope. And I'll tell you what I'm talking about when I say I would only hope, and that is we are about 9 months in now with this pandemic, and when I say I could only hope or I would only hope, it's that I would hope we've learned some things from this pandemic, from this experience. I would hope that we've learned to appreciate some things that maybe we took for granted prior to having to go through this experience. And it's not over yet. So that's why I say I would hope. We just went through Thanksgiving, which was a different experience. In my house, it was only 5 of us there at the dinner table when normally we would have a house full or a cast of thousands, or we would be going somewhere. But as it turns out this year, that wasn't to be so. A lot of the friends and family members that normally we would see on Thanksgiving, we either had to talk to them on the telephone or look at them through Zoom or Google if that's what we chose to do, or we did nothing at all. For the last 9 months, we've been, for the most part, isolated from other people. Now, while the technology is great, even platforms such as this that I'm recording this podcast on, the technology is great, but it still does not replace human interaction. It still does not replace human connection. The other day, I did have a visitor to my home. They had to drop something off. And so they were only here for about maybe 15 or 20 minutes, maybe a half hour at the tops, and they kept their masks on the entire time of the visit. But a part of that visitation was a 6-year-old child. And that child jumped into my lap and gave me a hug like I had not had and I don't know when. And when I say that, I'm saying that because during the pandemic, we've been keeping ourselves 6 feet and 10 feet and however many feet apart. So to actually feel somebody, because he did this again unsolicited, just being a child. He had his mask on. He just jumped up on me and gave me a big a bear hug as a 6-year-old can give. But it was heartfelt. But I had missed that because we haven't been able to do that with people since the pandemic hit. And I'm a hugger. And because usually whenever I come up on people, particularly people that I know well, more than just a handshake, they usually get a hug. And so we haven't, again, been able to do that. So I would hope we've learned throughout this pandemic to appreciate people, to appreciate others. Because you really don't know what you have until you lose it. This pandemic temporarily has caused us to lose some things that we're accustomed to. The pandemic has caused us to lose certain ways of lives. It has disrupted routines. My routine in terms of how I go about doing things in life has been disrupted to no end. My ability to just come and go as I please, when I want, be with whoever I want to be with, when I want to be with them, just has been disrupted like you would not believe. However, thankfully, in terms of earning a wage, that wasn't disrupted, but for some, that was obliterated. For some folks, they lost their jobs. They lost their wages. For some folks, they're sitting on the precipice, or however you want to say that word. They're on the borderline of precipice, on the borderline of eviction, because they haven't received any money throughout this pandemic. So there are definite losses that in terms of prior to the pandemic, we were just going on about our little merry way, not ever in our wildest dreams or imagination thinking of it not being there or things not being the way they always were. And yet suddenly, within a blink of an eye, it was gone. So when I say I would hope or I could hope that we need to learn some things from acting in this manner. Now, there are some upsides to the pandemic as well, because because particularly in the education system, in the school system, we've always had weather days or inclement weather days where school was closed and we lost time and then had to make that time up in the summer. Well, now that we've learned how to do business this way, snow days ought to be things of the past. We should not ever have another snow day again, because we can always now go to virtual environment. A bad snowstorm, guess what, folks? We're going to virtual environment for that day or 2 days. We don't lose any time. So we should be able to get out of school. For those in the northern area that run on the September to June schedule, we should be able to get out of school in the middle of June compared with the end of June, almost in July, due to loss of days because of weather. My point is, we should not have to now lose days because of weather, because we know we have the capability of meeting virtually. The same thing with parent meetings. Parents can't come in during the day, during the regular school day. We can schedule a virtual meeting at their convenience when they're not at work, or if they can conduct the virtual meeting on their jobs to the school during school hours. My point is, there are things that we have learned both ways, negatively and positively, throughout this pandemic, and we still have a ways to go. We're heading into December right now, and the forecast for this thing, even getting close to settling, is sometime in the summer of 2021. Maybe that forecast will shorten, or it might lengthen. But this I do know. Things that we've been taking for granted, hopefully we've learned to appreciate them even more. Just being able to go out without a mask. Now, trust me when I tell you, I am an advocate and a proponent for us wearing masks. That is part of our safety guidelines. With the wearing of the mask keeps you safe from me, and your wearing of your mask keeps you safe. Let me do this again. The wearing of my mask keeps me safe from you. The wearing of your mask keeps you safe from me. So everybody wear their masks. Hopefully, prayerfully, we will all be safe. So I am a proponent of mask wearing. However, it is an inconvenience. It is something that every time you step in your car and you want to go to the store, you got to make sure you have your mask with you, that you haven't stepped out of the house or stepped out of the car and forgotten your mask. Or if you're trying to do activities that you would normally do. Like, I haven't been to the gym since this started because I don't want to be bothered with trying to exercise or work out in a mask. The same thing holds true for my monthly massage subscription that I have. While I've done it a couple of times, I just don't like laying there in a mask. So for me, it has prohibited me from keeping up with my monthly massage appointments, if you will, because I just don't want to be sitting there or laying there in a mask. So again, I get it in terms of folks not wanting to wear masks, and it is inconvenient, but you know what? We have to do what we have to do to keep each other safe. Now, not for nothing, I'm looking forward to the day when we don't have to operate in masks, where we don't have to keep masks over our face, or face coverings, or whatever you want to call them. But you know what? We do what we have to do until it's done. We've also learned that if need be, certain things can be done virtually. Everything doesn't have to be done in person. The constant hustle and bustle that comes with always having to be somewhere or go somewhere or meet, we can now, if we choose to, and I was kind of alluding to this earlier with the meetings with school parents and school days in inclement weather, if need be, we now know how to go into virtual mode. So while it might not be something I would want to do every day like we're doing right now, every now and again, if we decided to have church virtually, that'd be okay. One Sunday, you know what, instead of everybody having to come out, we're going to do church virtually like we were doing through the pandemic. We can have that meeting, that business meeting, we can have that meeting virtually instead of everybody having to get in their cars and go somewhere. It's just not having to do it like we're doing right now, because we're forced to do it for the most part because of the health conditions or the health risks. Make no mistake, COVID-19 is real. It's not a hoax. It's not a joke. It's not just a cold. It really is not. It is real. We've lost folks to this thing. I've lost colleagues. I've lost church family members. I've lost family members. So it is real. So we really do need to do what we need to do to get through this. But once we are through it, really look back and appreciate all the things that we were doing prior to the pandemic that all of a sudden we lost. All of a sudden we can no longer do the way that we were doing it. All of a sudden not being able to visit your loved ones the way you wanted to visit, not being able to see folks who are in the hospital, not to be able to see folks who are in nursing homes, not to be able to see folks who may not be feeling well, not just to have just a plain old gathering in your home, just to be able to eat in a restaurant and not have to eat outdoors, just to be able to do what we've been doing, to go to the gym and work out on the bike or work out with the weights. Even whenever I record my radio show on Saturday mornings, whenever I'm in the studio live, between DJs, we have to wipe all the equipment down. Everything has to be now sanitized and wiped down and Lysol down and this, that, and the other. Even not to always have to do that as much is going to feel good. That's not something we've always had to do. The washing of hands, by all means, we need to keep washing them. That doesn't need to go away. The washing of hands needs to stay. All of the sanitizing that I was just talking about, every time you touch something, that is going to be a relief not to have to do that to that extent. But there's nothing wrong with sanitizing and wiping things either. So as we move forward, because it's allegedly, and I'm saying allegedly in tongue-in-cheek, a vaccine is on its way. As far as I'm concerned, it's untested because we really don't know what the side effects are going to be. It may have an effectiveness level or an effectiveness rate for stopping the spread of the virus, but what we don't know are the side effects that come along with it, because enough people haven't taken it and enough time hasn't gone by to say, was that a side effect of the vaccine? Have you ever looked at a commercial, a medical commercial or a pharmaceutical commercial, and they give this laundry list of side effects? As a matter of fact, while they're giving this laundry list of side effects, people are always happy and smiling and playing, but at the same time, they're telling you this drug can kill you. So we don't know the side effects that may come along with this vaccine. Even if we take it, it may very well, while it may stem the COVID tide, it may kick off something else. Because again, if you look at the pharmaceutical commercials, in many instances, the ailment that the drug is trying to cure is less than what the side effect is. So in other words, I would almost rather have the primary ailment than I would what could be those side effects. That side effect list is long. And in many instances, the side effects are worse than the ailment that you're trying to cure it with. So I don't know. We don't know with the COVID vaccine whether or not that might be the issue. COVID might be bad, but the side effects from that vaccine might be worse. We don't know that. There's still a lot of unknowns. So we need to make sure we do what we need to do to get through it. And at the same time, since this is an experience that we've all had to experience, it's my hope that we've learned from it. I hope we've learned to treat people better. In this environment right now, we have a very seriously divided country. And it is divided up on hate. Hatred of races, hatred of sexual orientation, hatred of gender, hatred of age, hatred of just, I hate you because you're different from me. So it would be my hope that in this pandemic, now that you had an opportunity to see that people are people, are people are people, are people are people are people, that maybe relationships would get better. Maybe things would get better. Because again, you don't know what you've had until you've lost it. We lost some things over this last 9 months that will probably go into even more than that over a year. There are some people and things I've not done or have not seen since everything locked down in March. And now with the resurgence of it, we're in the lockdown again. So we really do. I mean, it's one thing to go through it. It's another thing not to learn from it. Appreciate folks. Be glad to see folks. We don't know how much time we have left. I lost a coworker and his wife to COVID. Saw him one afternoon. The next few days he was gone. So we really do need to understand that We don't know when is our last time. One of the ways I close my radio show out every week is I close it out with, may you live as long as you want and not want as long as you live. Live each day as if it were your last, because one day it doesn't matter about your title. Doesn't matter if you wore the title of doctor, doesn't matter if you wore the title of president, doesn't matter if you wore the title of pastor, doesn't matter if you wore the title of principal, doesn't matter if you wore the title of governor, does not matter if you wore the title of chancellor, does not matter if you wore the title of whatever your title is. At some point, at one day, it's going to be the last day here. Another way to put it is live each day as if it were your last day that you want to be remembered. How you want folks to remember you? What's your legacy? Start working on that if you haven't. Maybe, hopefully, COVID has opened some eyes. Hopefully, this pandemic has created some thoughts, some positive directions, some things that you've been putting on the back burner on the shelf. You're going to say, you know what, let me go ahead and get that started because I don't know how much time I have here. I don't know what's coming next. We had COVID this last year. Don't know what's coming next year. Because in the beginning of this year, 2020, everybody, oh, this is my year. Oh, 2020 vision. Oh, 2020 has been a lollapalooza. 2020 has been something. 2020 has been, oh my. So we have no idea what 2021 is going to be like. So let's do the best we can. Let's learn from it. This is the Mark Medley Show. If you want to learn more about me, feel free to check out my website, markamedley.com. Go there and you can reach me on just about any other platform that I'm on. Again, it's my name. Very simple. markamedley.com. No spaces. You can hear me Saturday mornings live if you tune in from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Time on gobrave.org. That's GOBRAVE.org. The show is broadcast around the world Saturday mornings, again, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Time. But all of that information, you can find me by visiting my website at markamedley.com. Thanks for listening. This has been another episode of The Mark Medley Show.